So it's time for another gardening week, and we're going to start off with a harvest this time. And we'll just try and fly through it because it's pretty much the same as it always is at this time of year. So we've got some lovely kales here, some more kales there, and all these little pups from the red cabbage. I love these. These are so kind of tender. You see a little bit of whitefly on those, but obviously we don't care about whitefly. So yeah, those are gorgeous. Of course, we've also got the red cabbage, and that is looking pretty good. We've got 3 more to go, so I'm hoping to get to March with the red cabbages. I've had to take some of the outer skins off them because they always start to rot at this time of year, but yeah, looking pretty good. These are potatoes from the tubs. These are potatoes from the store. A little bit of scab this year. I don't know, it's always tricky to know why, but anyway, a bit of scab on those. And the disaster of the year, really, this year, there's always one disaster, isn't there? And it's the carrots. It's the winter carrots because of the slug infestation. And you can see just the amount of damage on these carrots. I've had to chop the tops off them, bits of the sides off them. What a mess those carrots were. And we've got plenty more carrots, but I think there's going to be a lot of clean-up going forward. I think I've pretty much cleared the slugs now, though. Beetroot from the store and from the ground. Carrots, apples from the store. Leeks from the ground. And Jerusalem artichokes from the ground. Onions from the store. We've actually lost quite a few onions. Maybe, I don't know, like 5% of the onions over Christmas. And just... yeah, well, basically in December. And I think that's because it's been so warm, really warm, hasn't it? Apart from that really cold snap, just for a few days in December. Yeah, it's been so mild. Anyway, parsnips from the ground, quite a nice selection of parsnips here. I grew them a lot smaller this year because last year they were just so blooming huge. Incredibly difficult to get out of the ground, and just nobody wanted them because they were so massive. Anyway, we've got a really nice selection of little bits of purple sprouted broccoli and little tiny sprouts. I'm just picking the tiny ones to start off with, but still really lovely. Colette's spinach, 3 boxes I think of spinach, and red stem pak choi, and red ruble kale, which I'm going to put this into the salad mixes. It looks pretty nice. And I'm going to put some of these okra into the salad mixes. And then we've got some more Asian greens here. I've got some radicchio to go into the salad mixes. Some lamb's lettuce for the salad mixes. Salad onions, not surprisingly, for the salad mixes. And one of my absolute favourites at this time of year, Claytonia, for the salad mixes, as well as this tatsoi. And then there's the bases for the salad mixes. So I'll make up those salads now so you can just see them. And then we'll get on with some gardening. Well, there's no doubt about it. When it comes to gardening in January, this is the low point of the year. All the plants are suffering, low light levels, constant rain. In fact, my allotment site is absolutely flooded. My plot's fine in the main, but all the surrounding plots are just completely underwater, and it's been like that now for well over a month. It's such a mess, and it does mean that if you're kind of into year-round gardening, you've got to have your mind set on the future, and it's not very far away, because whilst January is a grim month from almost every perspective, although the long-range weather forecast is kind of indicating a little bit of an improvement, February is when things start to change, and it starts to feel like your plants are actually alive and sort of a little bit of vibrancy in them, rather than just sort of clinging on to life like they are right now. So I tend to use January as a time to just get on with sorting out all these sort of little preparatory tasks. And the first thing I'm going to do is just tidy up this polytunnel, because it's just accumulates mess. I've already halfway through it, But I'm going to take all these carrots and get those up onto the trestle tables so that all this space here is kind of clear, makes harvesting easier. But as I start to bring stuff from the home, early potatoes, things like that, I'll have somewhere to put them in the polytunnel as well. And I'll start clearing my containers, you know, and getting those prepped, ready for all my early courgettes and things like that, which obviously won't be for a while yet. But it's nice to get all that sort of stuff done, because, you know, when the weather's nice, you don't want to be turning your compost bins and sorting out compost in here and moving stuff around. You want to be outside enjoying yourself. So I just wanted to show you, though, the condition of these beds in here. I've never seen anything like it. I haven't watered this polytunnel since the end of November, and the beds are absolutely saturated. You know, I've got green growth on the soil and all that sort of thing. They just look horrible, you know, and that's all capillary action, drawing water from, you know, probably not very far deep down. I suspect that the water table's only about this deep, you know, so it's not much, doesn't take much to draw by capillary action water up right to the surface. So I'm also going to just ruffle the surface here just to reduce the amount of algae growth, and yeah, that makes all the difference. So anyway, I'm going to clear this up. Oh, so that's all looking so much better. So I've cleaned up all of the sort of dead and dying leaves off all of these lettuce beds down here, and yeah, looking like I'd like to eat them now. And then I've also sort of, as I said, like worked the soil over with my fingertips just to break up all of the algae that was on that soil, and they're looking a lot healthier, and I've removed all the dead leaves off those as well. So yeah, I mean, I've put a lot of the leaves in here, but I've still got plenty on the floor, so I've just got to get these swept up, and then it'll be looking like I actually care about the place, and more importantly, I actually want to spend time in here. So yeah, sweep, sweep, sweep. Unfortunately, it's still a bit wet outside, so I'm going to leave the planting of all these little beauties until next week when the sun's shining, because I love planting, and it seems such a shame to spoil it by having to do it on such a dreary day. The carrots are up where they'll get a bit more sun. I've moved my broad beans down there out of the way and tied those up, and I've given that celery a bit of a tidy up as well, and I've put it on top of another plant pot so it's not using as much space, but also gives it a bit more light, because I won't need those 2 big plant pots or those 3 big plant pots until April. I started to clear my hanging baskets of lettuce, and so I need to start thinking about getting my strawberries in those. So cleared up most of my strawberries. They've been outside for ages, but I put a few slug pellets on those because they're bound to be slugs in those pots. In fact, I found loads of slug eggs as well, so I got those out. So they're going to go in these hanging baskets next rainy day probably. I've prepared loads of beds. So this one was the baby leaf chard. This one was the salad rocket. So they're all ready to get planted out with all those little baby kale plants for a spring harvest. Cleared that little bed there, ready for calabrese. All these beds are going to be a mix of calabrese and cauliflowers down here, but that one was claytonia, and cleared that one out because that was going to seed. So yeah, this will be my first calabrese planting of the year, and hopefully early May for a harvest of that, because the plants are pretty well on. This bed ready for the baby leaf Asian greens, and this bed was radicchio and lettuce, so I just finished harvesting those. And that was my old mature bed of Asian greens. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to plant in that yet, but anyway, it's all cleared up and ready to go, and gave those lettuces a really good clear up as well. Took all the dead outer leaves off those, took all the slugs out of the hearts and everything, I'm not sure whether I'll get much of a harvest off these before I need to replant it, but I thought I'd give it the best chance possible. And you can see that I lost a few plants there to stem rot as well. And this is the bed that had the purple sprouting broccoli in it that got clubroot, and all the roots rotted really badly. So that's ready for lettuces to go in next week. Again, I just put a few slug pellets down just to make sure there's not too many slugs in there. Give the lettuce a fighting chance. It's at the back of this bed where I'm going to put the peas as well, which means moving those posts. I just tripped over. I'm always saying to myself, you know, I need to keep this plot nice and clean, trip hazards and all that. Anyway, I'm going to have a nasty bruise here, I think. Smash myself into this coal frame here. There. Kind of hit my head on that. Anyway, carry on. So, yeah, last job of the day, last job of the week actually, is I'm just going to consolidate all these compost bins into 3 so that I can start turning all my veg waste into the bin at the end. Well, that was a soggy, messy job. Anyway, it's done. Full, completely empty, 2/3 full. So that's a great position to be in. I think I'll be able to get through the summer just with turning that bin backwards and forwards all the time, and I won't need these. So I'm done for the week. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.